Stop running right now, because the faster you chase money, the faster it runs away from you, just like a shadow that disappears when you try to grab it with your bare hands. And the secret that millionaires keep locked away is that wealth is not something you pursue, but something you attract. When you stop emitting the signal of desperation and start vibrating at the frequency of abundance. I am going to unveil the hidden physics of wealth and show you how to reverse the polarity of your financial magnetic field so that money starts flowing towards you effortlessly and without struggle, transforming your economic reality from the inside out and allowing you to access a level of abundance that has always seemed just out of reach, but that you could never quite touch because you were playing the wrong game entirely. Subscribe to the channel right now to ensure you do not miss any of the master keys I am about to hand over to unlock your millionaire mind, because the content you are about to hear has the real power to change the trajectory of your financial life forever, and you deserve to witness this transformation. You have likely felt that you are running on an endless treadmill where you sweat and struggle and spend all your vital energy. But when you look down, you realize you have not moved an inch, and the financial landscape around you remains exactly the same year after year. And this happens because you have been programmed since childhood to believe in a fundamental lie that says money is the final prize of an exhausting race, when in truth, money is merely the natural byproduct of who you become during the process. And I want you to visualize right now a butterfly flying in a beautiful garden. And imagine that this butterfly represents the wealth you so deeply desire. And realize that if you go running out with a net, trying to hunt this butterfly, it will sense the vibration of your anxiety and the chaotic movement of your body, and it will fly away, because the natural instinct of any living thing or any energy is to flee from whoever pursues it with need and desperation. So the only real and sustainable way to have the butterfly land on your shoulder is to stop running and start building a magnificent garden. Because when you focus on cultivating the soil and planting the most beautiful flowers and creating an environment of immense value, the butterfly comes to you. And not just one butterfly, but entire clouds of butterflies will come, because they will be irresistibly attracted by the quality of the ecosystem you have created. And this is the perfect metaphor for your financial life. Because money operates with exactly the same energetic dynamic as the butterflies, and it smells the scent of desperation from miles away. And when you wake up in the morning thinking you need to make money, you have already started the day losing the game. Because need creates a vacuum of scarcity. And the universe does not fill vacuums created by lack. It fills spaces created by value and contribution. So the first step to making this monumental transition in your mind is to understand that you are no longer a fortune hunter, but rather a gardener of value. And this shift in identity is the turning point where everything begins to transform. Because when you stop asking, "How can I make money?" and start asking, "How can I become the person that money seeks?" you reverse the flow of the river. And instead of swimming against the current trying to grab coins, you become the ocean itself where all rivers run. And I know this might seem counterintuitive at first, because all of society was designed to keep you in survival mode, operating out of fear and the urgency of bills due on Friday. But I need you to take a deep breath right now and understand that fear is the #1 repellent of prosperity, because fear contracts and wealth needs expansion to enter your life. And think with me about the energy of a needy person in a romantic relationship and how that neediness pushes the partner away instead of attracting them. And with money, it is exactly the same thing, because money is a feminine energy that desires to be seduced by confidence and certainty and not chased by insecurity and the fear of lack. So from today onward, your job is no longer to work for money, but rather to work on yourself until your intrinsic value is so high and so obvious that the market has no other option but to reward you massively. And this requires a fierce mental discipline to monitor every thought of scarcity that tries to invade your consciousness and replace it immediately with a thought of sufficiency and capability, because your bank account is just a delayed reflection of your predominant thoughts. And if you spend all day worrying about what is missing, you are using the creative power of your mind to manifest more lack. And it is a hypnotic, vicious cycle that keeps 99% of the population trapped in mediocrity. But you are here now listening to this message, which means you are ready to break this cycle and wake up to the truth that abundance is the natural state of being and scarcity is an artificial creation of the human mind conditioned by fear and ignorance of universal laws. Imagine now that you are a giant and powerful magnet, and that every thought and emotion you emit is a magnetic wave that travels through space and finds similar frequencies and brings them back to you. And if you emit the frequency of need, which says, "I need this because I do not have it," the universe responds obediently, confirming that you do not have it, and giving you more experiences of not having, because the law of attraction is not about what you want. It is about who you are, and you cannot attract what you want. You only attract what you are, so to change what you have, you must first change who you are. And this is the part where most people fail, because they try to change their external circumstances without changing their internal frequency. And it is like trying to change the reflection in the mirror without changing your face, and it is physically impossible and frustrating. So let us go deeper into this concept of vibrational resonance, because money is nothing more than printed. Energy and paper notes or digital numbers on a screen are just symbols of value exchange. And if you feel that money is hard to get, you are literally creating a reality where money is hard to get, because your belief system acts as a filter that blocks any opportunity that contradicts your internal truth. So if you believe that you have to work hard and suffer to be wealthy, your mind will blind you to all the easy and fluid ways to create wealth, because it needs to prove you right. And the human mind always seeks coherence between what it believes and what it sees. So the first lock we need to break is the belief that struggle is noble, and that poverty is virtuous, because there is no nobility in suffering, and there is no virtue in playing small and shrinking so that other people do not feel insecure around you. And true abundance is your birthright. And when you embrace this truth, you stop apologizing for wanting more, and you start understanding that your prosperity serves the world. Because you cannot help the poor if you are one of them, and you cannot uplift humanity if you are crushed by the weight of your own survival. So stop feeling guilty for desiring wealth, because that desire is the life force seeking fuller expression through you. And it is the universe knocking on your door, asking you to expand and grow and become more than you currently are. When you stop chasing money, you enter a state of flow. And in this state of flow, time seems to disappear and work becomes play. And you start to see connections that you never saw before, and opportunities start to appear in the most unexpected places. And people call this luck. But it is not luck, it is alignment. And alignment happens when your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions are all moving in the same direction, without the friction of doubt and fear. And imagine a car trying to move forward with the handbrake on. And that is how most people live their financial lives, pressing the accelerator of desire while simultaneously pulling the handbrake of fear and limiting beliefs. And the result is a lot of smoke and noise and burning rubber, but no movement. And to release the handbrake, you must let go of the attachment to the outcome. And this is the great paradox of wealth, which states that you must have a clear intention of what you want, but you must detach completely from how and when it will happen, because attachment creates resistance, and resistance blocks the flow. So you must learn to trust the intelligence of life which knows how to orchestrate events far better than your limited logical mind can. And when you surrender the need to control every detail, you make space for magic to happen. And magic is just a word we use for the mechanics of the universe that we do not yet understand. But just because you do not understand, electricity does not mean you cannot turn on the light and use its power. And just because you do not fully understand the laws of abundance does not mean you cannot use them to build a magnificent life. And the switch that turns on the light of abundance is gratitude, because gratitude is the ultimate signal to the universe that you already have enough. And when you signal that you have enough, the universe gives you more, because remember, the law is that attracts. So if you are grateful for the $10 you have today, you are opening the energetic channel for the $100 to come tomorrow. But if you complain about the $10 being too little, you are closing that channel and telling the universe that you are not a good container for wealth. And money is like water. It needs a container to hold it. And if your internal container is full of holes caused by unworthiness and guilt, no matter how much money you pour into it, it will all leak out, and you will end up empty again. And this explains why so many lottery winners lose everything within a few years, because they had the money, but they did not have the container, and they did not have the consciousness of wealth. So the money simply returned to its natural state of flow away from them. We need to talk about the concept of value, because this is the cornerstone of the letting it chase you philosophy. And money is simply a certificate of appreciation for service rendered. And if you want more certificates of appreciation, you simply need to render more service and provide more value. And most people focus on the getting part of the equation, but the getting is just the effect, and the giving is the cause, and you cannot have the effect without the cause. So stop looking at your bank account and start looking at the contribution you are making to the world. And ask yourself every single day, how can I serve more people? How can I solve bigger problems? How can I add more value to the marketplace? Because the size of your income will always be directly proportional to the size of the problems you solve. And if you solve small problems, you earn small money. And if you solve big problems, you earn big money. And this is not unfair, it is just mechanics. And if you are currently broke, it simply means that you have not yet found a way to serve enough people or to serve them deeply enough. And this is actually good news, because it means the control is in your hands, and you do not need the economy to change, and you do not need the president to change, and you do not need your boss to change. You only need to change your capacity to serve and contribute. And once you realize this, you are free, because you are no longer a victim of circumstances. You are a creator of circumstances. And this empowers you to take bold action not out of desperation, but out of inspiration. And there is a massive difference between action taken to get something and action taken to give something. And inspired action feels effortless and joyful, while desperate action feels heavy and forced. And people can feel the difference when you try to sell them something. And if you are trying to get their money, they will resist. But if you are trying to help them, they will welcome you, and they will gladly pay you. Because everyone is looking for solutions to their pain, and everyone is looking for a way to feel better. And if you can be the person who delivers that relief, money will follow you like a loyal dog, and it will hunt you down wherever you go. Now, let us address the silent killer of wealth, which is envy and comparison. Because in the age of social media, it is so easy to look at the highlight reels of other people and feel like you are falling behind. And this feeling of being behind is pure poison for your abundance mindset, because it puts you instantly back into scarcity and lack. And you must understand that everyone is running their own race and living in their own time zone. And comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20 is a recipe for misery and failure. So you need to put blinders on like a racehorse and focus entirely on your own lane and your own progress, and celebrate the success of others. Because when you see someone with a lot of money, if you feel jealousy, you are telling your subconscious mind that money is bad, or that money belongs to them and not to you. But if you feel joy for them and you bless their success, you are telling your subconscious mind that this is possible for me too, and you are aligning yourself with that reality. So bless what you want, and do not curse it because you cannot attract what you resent. And if you think rich people are evil or greedy, you will never become one of them, because your mind will protect you from becoming what you despise. So you must heal your relationship with money and see it for what it really is, which is a tool for good and an amplifier of who you are. And if you are a good person, money will make you more of a good person, and it will allow you to do more good things and touch more lives. So strip away the negative labels you have placed on wealth and see it as a beautiful energy that wants to work with you and through you to create a better world. Let us go deeper into the architecture of your belief system, because your beliefs are the software running the hardware of your reality. And if the software is corrupted, the hardware cannot function properly, no matter how hard you try. And the most dangerous virus in your mental software is the language you use when you talk to yourself about money. Because words are not just sounds, they are spells. And that is why it is called spelling. And when you say things like, "I cannot afford it," you are literally casting a spell of poverty upon yourself. And you are commanding your brain to stop looking for solutions, because if you cannot afford it, the conversation is over and the brain goes to sleep. But if you simply change the words and ask, "How can I afford this?" you instantly switch your brain from a passive state to an active problem-solving state. And you open the door for creativity and intuition to enter, so you must become a guardian at the gate of your mind and refuse to let any language of limitation pass through your lips. Because every time you speak limitation, you validate it and you make it stronger, like a muscle that gets bigger with exercise. So start exercising the muscle of possibility and speak as if your success is inevitable. Because it is inevitable if you stay on this path and do not give up. We need to address the invisible thermostat that controls your financial life. Because everyone has an internal financial setting, just like an air conditioner. And if your internal thermostat is set to earning $3,000 a month, even if you work harder and manage to earn $5,000, somehow something will happen to bring you back down to $3,000, and your car will break down, or you will get sick, or you will make a bad investment, and you will lose that extra money because your subconscious mind feels unsafe at that higher level, and it will sabotage you to get you back to your comfort zone, which is $3,000. And this explains why you see people who work incredibly hard but never seem to break through a certain ceiling. And it is not because of the economy, it is because of their thermostat. So the only way to permanently increase your income is to reset your thermostat. And you do this by normalizing wealth in your mind and by exposing yourself to higher levels of abundance until they feel normal and comfortable to you and not scary or foreign. And this is why you should go to the lobby of a luxury hotel and just sit there and have a coffee and soak in the atmosphere and let your nervous system adjust to the feeling of luxury without feeling like an imposter, because you need to convince your subconscious that you belong in these spaces and that wealth is safe and natural for you. And when your internal reality accepts wealth, your external reality will rearrange itself to match it, because the outer world always follows the inner world and never the other way around. Now, let us dismantle the biggest lie of the industrial age, which is the idea that time equals money, because this equation is the trap that keeps millions of people poor and exhausted. And if time equaled money, then the person working 2 jobs would be the richest person in the world. But we know that is not true, because trading time for money has a hard limit, and you only have 24 hours in a day. So your income is capped by the clock. And wealth does not care about clocks. Wealth cares about results and leverage. So you must shift your focus from activity to productivity, and from hours worked to value created. And this means you need to find ways to disconnect your income from your physical presence and create systems or assets that work for you while you sleep. Because if you do not find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. And this sounds harsh, but it is the reality of the economic system we live in. So stop asking, how many hours did I work? And start asking, how much value did I deliver? And how can I deliver this value to more people without working more hours? And this is where technology and leverage come in. Because one video or one product or one piece of software can serve millions of people simultaneously. And that is infinite leverage. And infinite leverage leads to infinite income potential. So stop selling your time and start selling your mind and your ideas and your solutions, because your time is finite, but your creativity is infinite. There is a profound spiritual law called the law of vacuum, which states that nature abhors a vacuum and will always rush to fill it. And this applies directly to your prosperity, because if your life is cluttered with old junk and old habits and old toxic relationships, there is no space for new wealth to come in. So you must create a vacuum by releasing what no longer serves you. And this might mean cleaning out your closet and giving away the clothes that do not make you feel like $1 million. Or it might mean firing clients who drain your energy and pay you little. Or it might mean distancing yourself from friends who are constantly negative and complaining, because you cannot fly with eagles if you are scratching with turkeys. And this process of letting go can be scary, because the ego likes to hold on to things even if they are bad for us, because they are familiar. And the ego loves familiarity. But growth only happens in the unknown, so you must be brave enough to create empty space in your life and trust that the universe will fill it with something better, because it always does. And holding on to the old is an act of distrust, and letting go is an act of faith. And money flows to faith, like a river flows to the sea. Let us talk about the frequency of gratitude again, but at a deeper level, because most people practice gratitude as a reaction to something good happening. But the masters practice gratitude as a cause to make good things happen. And this is called proactive gratitude, where you give thanks for the things that have not arrived yet, as if they are already here. And this collapses the timeline and pulls the future into the present, because when you feel the emotion of gratitude, your body believes the event has already occurred, and this signals your DNA to change, and it signals the quantum field to manifest that reality. So do not wait for the money to come to be grateful. Be grateful now for the abundance that is on its way, and feel the excitement and the relief and the joy of it right now in this moment, because that feeling is the magnetic force that pulls it to you. And if you wait for the evidence before you feel the feeling, you will wait forever, because you are operating by Newtonian physics of cause and effect. But we are operating by quantum physics of causing and effect. So wake up every morning and spend 5 minutes feeling the gratitude for the financial freedom that is yours. And walk through your day carrying that feeling like a secret treasure in your pocket. And watch how the world begins to treat you differently, because you are vibrating at a different frequency. You must also understand the concept of non-resistance, because chasing money creates resistance, and resistance pushes it away. But allowing money creates flow, and allowing means you stop fighting with your current reality and you accept it fully, while knowing you are moving towards something better. And when you fight your debt or fight your bills, you are feeding energy into them and making them real and solid. But when you look at your bills and simply say, "Thank you for the service. This represents, and I pay this with joy," You neutralize the negative charge, and you stop the energy leak, and you must become like water, which flows around obstacles and does not smash into them, because water is the most powerful element on earth, and it is soft and yielding, but it can carve through solid rock over time. So be soft with your desires, and do not grip them so tightly that you strangle them, and let your desire be a gentle preference rather than a desperate need, because need implies lack, and preference implies choice, and powerful creators operate from choice, not from lack. Another critical aspect of letting money chase you is investing in yourself, because you are the asset that produces the wealth. And if you neglect the asset, the production goes down. So you must ruthlessly invest in your education and your health and your skills and your mindset, because every dollar you spend on becoming a better version of yourself yields the highest return on investment of anything in the world. And buying a book or a course or hiring a coach is not an expense. It is a seed planted in the fertile soil of your potential. And poor people think about the cost of things, while rich people think about the value of things. And if a course costs $500 but teaches you how to make $5,000, it is essentially free plus profit. So shift your perspective from cost to investment and realize that you are the golden goose. And you need to feed the goose the best food if you want it to lay golden eggs. And never apologize for spending money on your own growth, because that is the engine of your future economy. We also need to discuss the power of environment, because you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And this is not a cliché. It is biological fact due to mirror neurons in your brain that copy the behaviors and attitudes of those around you. So if you hang out with 5 broke people who complain about the economy, you will inevitably become the 6th. But if you hang out with 5 visionary people who talk about ideas and growth and opportunity, you will become the 6th. So you must curate your social circle with extreme care. And sometimes this means loving people from a distance, or finding new tribes online if you cannot find them in your physical town. Because the internet has removed all geographical barriers to connection, and you can find mentors and peers who are playing the game at the level you want to play. And simply listening to their conversations and observing their habits will begin to reprogram your subconscious mind through osmosis, and you will start to think like them and act like them, and eventually get results like them. So do not underestimate the power of proximity, because proximity is power. Let us touch on the concept of speed of implementation, because money loves speed. And when you get an intuitive hit or an idea for a project or a solution, you must act on it quickly, because ideas are like fresh fruit and they have an expiration date. And if you let an idea sit on the shelf for too long, it rots and loses its energy, or someone else picks it up and runs with it, because the collective consciousness shares ideas. So when inspiration strikes, it is a direct phone call from the universe, giving you a coordinate for wealth, and you must pick up the phone and take the first step immediately, even if you do not know the second step, because taking the first step signals to the universe that you are serious and ready to play. And the universe rewards bold action, and clarity comes from action, not from thinking. So do not wait until you have the perfect plan, because the perfect plan does not exist, and you will figure it out along the way. Just like you figure out how to ride a bicycle by getting on it and falling off and getting back on again, and not by studying the physics of balance in a classroom. So be willing to be messy and imperfect, because imperfect action beats perfect inaction every single time. Now think about the energy of circulation, because money is like blood, and it needs to circulate to keep the economic body healthy. And hoarding money out of fear stops the flow and creates stagnation. So you must get comfortable with both the inflow and the outflow of money, and trust that when you spend money, you are circulating value and that it will return to you multiplied. And this does not mean spending recklessly on things you do not need, but it means spending with a spirit of trust and abundance, knowing that the source of supply is infinite. And when you tip a waiter generously or pay for a service with a smile, you are affirming abundance, and you are telling the universe, I have more than enough, and I am happy to share. And this energy of generosity is highly magnetic because it vibrates at the frequency of overflow. And overflow attracts more overflow, so practice being a river and not a reservoir, because a reservoir holds water until it becomes stagnant, but a river lets water flow through it and remains fresh and clear and full of life. And finally, for this section, understand that your self-worth and your net worth are linked, but they are not the same thing. And you are worthy simply because you exist, and you breathe, and you are a child of the creation. And your value as a human being is infinite and unchangeable regardless of the number in your bank account. And when you decouple your self-esteem from your money, you actually become more attractive to money because you stop needing it to prove you are good enough, and you start welcoming it as a tool to express who you already are. And this detachment is key, because when you do not need money to validate you, you become dangerous in the best way possible because you are fearless, and you can take risks, and you can negotiate from a position of power, and you can walk away from bad deals. And this posture of power is exactly what money respects and chases. So stand tall in your inherent worthiness and let the money be the applause for the value you bring, not the definition of who you are. Let us examine the paradox of desire versus desperation, because this is where most people get tripped up in the manifestation process. And you have to understand that wanting money is perfectly healthy, but needing money is repellent. And the difference is the emotional charge behind the desire, because desire feels like excitement and anticipation, while need feels like anxiety and fear. And the universe responds to the feeling, not the words. So you can say affirmations all day long, but if your stomach is tied in knots with worry, you are broadcasting a signal of lack. So the trick is to transform your need into a preference. And you do this by realizing that you are actually okay right now, in this very moment. And if you look around, you likely have food, and you have shelter, and you are breathing, and you are alive. And finding safety in the present moment neutralizes the panic of the future. And when the panic subsides, your vibration rises, and you become visible to opportunity again, because desperation makes you invisible to good luck. So practice the art of being content with what is while eager for what is coming. And this dual state of satisfaction and anticipation is the sweet spot of attraction where miracles happen. We must also talk about the currency of attention, because in the modern world, attention is the new oil, and where your attention goes, your energy flows, and your life grows. So if you spend your attention on gossip and celebrity scandals and negative news, you are investing your creative energy into chaos and low vibrations. But if you invest your attention on learning and creating and solving problems, you are investing in wealth. So become stingy with your attention and do not give it away to anyone or anything that does not pay you dividends in growth or happiness, and treat your focus like a laser beam and not a light bulb, because a light bulb illuminates everything weakly, but a laser beam cuts through steel, and you want to cut through the noise of the world to find the signal of your success. So stop scrolling and start creating, because consumers get poor and creators get rich. And that is the simple math of the digital age. So decide today which side of the screen you want to be on. Consider the concept of the money shadow, which is the parts of yourself related to money that you have repressed or denied. And maybe you think wanting money makes you greedy, or maybe you think you are not smart enough to handle big numbers. And these shadow beliefs run the show from the dark basement of your subconscious. So you must shine a light on them and invite them to tea. And ask yourself honestly, what is the worst thing that could happen if I became incredibly rich? And your mind might say, my friends will hate me, or I will lose my motivation, or I will become a bad person. And once you expose these fears, you can see how ridiculous they are, and you can dismantle them because money does not change you, it reveals you. And if you are generous now, you will be more generous with money. And if you are kind now, you will be kinder with money. So stop fearing your own shadow and embrace your capacity for greatness, because the world needs good people with good money to do good things. Now, let us pivot to the strategy of becoming the prize. Because in any negotiation or interaction, the person who needs the deal less has the most power. And when you chase money, you are telling the world that the money is the prize and you are the beggar. But when you focus on your craft and your excellence and your unique value proposition, you flip the script and you become the prize that money wants to acquire. So build your skills until they are undeniable and become so good they cannot ignore you, because competence creates confidence, and confidence creates charisma, and charisma attracts capital. So do not chase the check, chase the mastery, and the check will chase you, because mastery is rare and valuable, and the market pays a premium for what is rare and valuable. So instead of networking and handing out business cards, trying to get people to notice, you spend that time in the lab, perfecting your product or your service or your art. And let your work speak for itself, because a lion does not need to introduce itself, and quality has a sound of its own that echoes louder than any marketing campaign. There is also a magical element called speed of trust, and money moves at the speed of trust. So if people trust you, they will buy from you, and they will invest in you, and they will recommend you. And trust is built on consistency and integrity. So do what you say you are going to do every single time without exception. And if you say you will call it 3, call it 3. And if you say the product will do X, make sure it does X plus Y. And this reputation for reliability is a bankable asset that is worth more than gold. Because in a world of hype and scams, being the person who actually delivers is a superpower that makes you stand out like a lighthouse in a storm. So guard your reputation with your life, because it takes years to build and seconds to destroy. And once you have trust, the friction of the transaction disappears, and the money flows smoothly and quickly. Let us address the imposter syndrome that plagues so many aspiring millionaires, because you might feel like a fraud when you ask for high prices or when you step into a bigger role, but you must realize that everyone is figuring it out as they go. And the biggest CEOs and the most famous artists all have moments of doubt, but they do not let the doubt stop the action. And the antidote to imposter syndrome is service, because when you are focused on how you look, you are self-obsessed. But when you are focused on how you can help the client, the fear vanishes, because it is not about you anymore. It is about them and the transformation you can provide. So take the spotlight off your ego and shine it on the value you deliver, and you will find the courage to charge what you are worth and to stand in your power without apology. You need to understand the law of compensation, which states that your income is determined by 3 things: the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty of replacing you. And most people focus on the need, but they forget about the replacement part. And if anyone can do what you do, you will be paid the minimum wage. But if you are the only one who can do what you do, or if you do it in a unique way that cannot be copied, you can name your price. So you must specialize and differentiate and find your blue ocean where there is no competition, because you have created a category of one. And this might mean combining 2 unrelated skills like accounting and storytelling, or coding and comedy, and creating a hybrid value that is scarce and highly desirable. So look at your unique stack of talents and ask, how can I combine these to create something that never existed before? Because innovation is the key to the vault. Think about the energy of detached involvement. where you are fully involved in the process of your work, but fully detached from the immediate result. And this is how elite athletes perform. Because if a basketball player is thinking about the score, while he is shooting the ball, he will miss. But if he is fully present in the motion of the shoot, he will score. So you must play the game of business and money with the same zen, like focus on the process, and trust that the score will take care of itself. And this relieves the pressure and makes the journey enjoyable. And when you are having fun, you are magnetic, because joy is a high vibration and people want to be around people who are enjoying their lives. So let your business be a playground and not a battlefield. And watch how many playmates show up with their wallets open, wanting to join the fun. We must also talk about the abundance triggers in your environment, because your physical space affects your mental space, and if your house is messy and broken and chaotic, your finances will likely reflect that. So start by cleaning your wallet and organizing your bills and decluttering your desk and creating a space that feels orderly and prosperous, because order is the first law of heaven, and money loves structure and clarity. So show the universe you are ready for more by taking excellent care of what you already have. And if you treat your $1 bill with respect, the universe will trust you with a $100 bill. But if you crumble it in your pocket and lose it in the wash, you are signaling that you are not a good steward of wealth. So become a meticulous manager of your resources and treat every penny as a seed of your future fortune. Let us discuss the concept of giving to receive, which sounds like a cliché, but is actually a circuit of energy. And you cannot inhale without exhaling, and you cannot receive without giving. So if your flow is blocked, try giving something away. And it does not have to be money. It can be a compliment or a smile or a helpful piece of advice or your time, and this act of giving jumpstarts the flow and puts you in the position of the benefactor. And the benefactor is by definition someone who has enough, so by giving you are affirming to your subconscious that you have plenty, and this belief manifests more, plenty. So make giving a habit and not an afterthought, and do it without expecting anything back from that specific person, but knowing that the universe will balance the books in its own way and in its own time. And now, consider the power of silence, because in silence you can hear the whispers of your intuition, which is your internal GPS to wealth. And the world is loud and distracting, and if you are always plugged in, you miss the subtle guidance that says, turn left here, or call this person, or buy this stock. So you need to carve out moments of stillness in your day to simply listen and connect with the source of all intelligence. And this is not wasted time. It is the most productive time because one idea from the infinite intelligence is worth a lifetime of hard labor. So respect the silence and let it speak to you because it knows the shortcut to your dreams. Finally, for this document, let us talk about resilience, because the path to letting money chase you is not a straight line, and there will be dips and valleys and failures, but failure is just feedback, and it is the tuition you pay for your education and success. So when you hit a wall, do not turn around and give up. Ask yourself, what is the lesson here? And how can I use this to get better? And if you adopt the mindset that everything happens for you and not to you, you become anti-fragile and you actually get stronger with every setback. And this resilience is attractive because it shows you are a serious player who is in it for the long haul, and money likes to bet on the horse that never stops running. So be that horse and keep moving forward no matter what. Let us decode the physics of value, because value is the magnet that pulls money from the pockets of the world into yours. And value is not what you think it is. Value is not how hard you worked on something. Value is how much that something improves the life of another person. And this is a crucial distinction because you can work 10 years digging a hole in the desert and create zero value. but you can spend 10 minutes connecting two people who need each other and create immense value. So you must detach your ego from the effort and attach your focus to the impact. And ask yourself constantly, is this actually helping someone get what they want? Or is it just making me feel busy and successful? People are obsessed with impact, while unsuccessful people are obsessed with effort. So stop wearing your burnout like a badge of honor and start wearing your results like a crown, because the universe rewards results, not sweat. We need to talk about the law of least effort, which does not mean laziness. It means harmony, and nature does not struggle to grow a forest or push the river to the sea. It allows the inherent intelligence of life to unfold. And when you align your work with your natural talents and passions, you tap into this law, and work becomes play, and you can produce 10 times more output with 10 times less friction. And this is the zone of genius where time distorts and brilliance happens. So stop trying to fix your weaknesses and start doubling down on your strengths. Because you will never get rich being mediocre at something you hate, but you can get filthy rich being world-class at something you love. So audit your life and delegate or delete everything that drains you and pour your life force into the one or two things that light you up, because that light is the beacon that guides the money ships to your harbor. Consider the concept of energetic pricing, which means the price you charge for your services is a direct reflection of your self-worth. And if you undercharge, you are literally telling the client, "I am not worth much," and they will believe you and treat you accordingly. But when you charge a premium price, you are signaling excellence and confidence. And ironically, clients often value the expensive service more than the cheap one, because they perceive higher value. So do not be afraid to raise your prices, because when you do, you filter out the headache clients who want everything for nothing, and you attract the premium clients who respect your time and expertise and are happy to pay for quality. So raising your prices is not just a financial strategy. It is a self-esteem strategy and a boundary-setting exercise that commands respect from the marketplace. Let us explore the myth of security, because so many people cling to a steady paycheck like a life raft. But in reality, a job is the riskiest income stream of all, because it has a single point of failure. And if your boss wakes up in a bad mood, or the company gets sold, your income goes to zero instantly. But when you build multiple streams of income or create your own business, you are diversified and resilient. And if one stream dries up, you have 5 others flowing. So real security does not come from a job. It comes from your ability to produce value and from having options. So start building your side hustles and your investment portfolio now, while you still have the paycheck, and use your job as the angel investor for your dream business. Because the goal is to move from being an employee to being an owner, because owners capture the value, while employees only capture a wage. We must address the scarcity of execution, because ideas are abundant and cheap, but execution is rare and expensive, and everyone has a $1 million idea in the shower, but almost no one gets out of the shower, dries off, and does the work to make it real. So be the person who executes ferociously and imperfectly, because the marketplace rewards the doer, not the dreamer, and you can learn more in one day of launching a failed product than in 1 year of reading books about product launch. So get into the arena and get your face dirty, and stop sitting in the stands criticizing the players, because the critics do not get paid and the players get the glory and the gold. So decide today to be a player and accept that failure is just part of the game and not the end of the game. Think about the compound effect of daily habits, because wealth is not an event, it is a habit. And you do not get rich by winning the lottery. You get rich by spending less than you earn and investing the difference wisely over a long period of time. And this is boring and unsexy, but it is the mathematical truth of wealth accumulation. So fall in love with the boredom of consistency and automate your savings and your investments, so you do not have to use willpower every month, because willpower is a finite resource, but systems are infinite. So build a financial machine that works in the background of your life, silently making you richer every single day, regardless of what you are doing. And one day you will wake up and realize that your machine produces more money than your labor. And that is the day you are truly free. Let us discuss the language of money, which is accounting and investing. And if you go to a foreign country and do not speak the language, you will get lost and taken advantage of. And the same is true in the land of wealth. So you must become fluent in the language of finance and understand the difference between an asset and a liability and cash flow and capital gains. And this does not mean you need a PhD in economics, but you need financial literacy to defend your wealth and to grow it, because nobody cares about your money more than you do, and handing over your financial power to an advisor blindly is a recipe for disaster. So educate yourself and take responsibility for your financial destiny, because knowledge is the ultimate leverage. There is a powerful concept called borrowed belief. And sometimes when your own belief is weak, you can borrow the belief of a mentor, or a coach, or a supportive friend who sees your potential when you cannot, and let their faith in you carry you until your own faith is strong enough to stand alone. And this is why community is so important, because we are social creatures, and we need validation and encouragement. So surround yourself with people who hold the vision of your success, and avoid people who poke holes in your dreams because their doubt is contagious, and you need to protect your mental immune system from the virus of negativity. Let us talk about velocity of money, which refers to how fast money moves through your hands and into assets, and poor people let money sit in a bank account, losing value to inflation, but rich people keep money moving into investments that produce more money and into businesses that produce cash flow. So think of your dollars as soldiers, and do not let them sit idle in the barracks. Send them out to the battlefield to capture territory and bring back prisoners in the form of more dollars, because idle money is dying money, but working money is living energy that multiplies. So become a general of your army of dollars and direct them with precision and purpose. You need to understand the emotional cycle of change, because when you start this journey of letting money chase you, you will feel uninformed optimism, which is excitement. But soon you will hit informed pessimism, where you realize it is harder than you thought, and then you will hit the valley of despair, where most people quit. But if you push through, you will reach informed optimism and finally success. And knowing this cycle helps you navigate the valley of despair, because you know it is just a phase and not a permanent destination. So keep walking through the valley and do not set up camp there, because the view from the top of the mountain is worth the climb. Let us explore the power of visualization, not as a mystical woo-woo practice, but as a neurological rehearsal, because your brain cannot tell the difference between a real experience and a vividly imagined one. So when you visualize your success in high definition with emotion, you are literally rewiring your brain to recognize the resources and opportunities that will make that vision a reality. And athletes use this to win gold medals, and you can use it to win financial freedom. So spend time every day in your mental movie theater, watching the film of your ideal life and feeling the emotions of having it now. And this primes your reticular activating system to filter reality in your favor and spot the open doors that were previously invisible to you. Consider the principle of over-delivery, which creates a debt of gratitude in the universe and in your customers. And always try to give more in use value than you take in cash value, because this surplus creates fans and evangelists who will market your business for you for free. And word of mouth is the most powerful marketing in the world. So blow people's minds with your generosity and your excellence, and make doing business with you an unforgettable experience, and you will never have to chase clients again because they will be lining up at your door begging to work with you. We must also talk about forgiveness as a financial strategy, because holding on to resentment and anger towards parents or ex-partners or bad business deals takes up massive amounts of bandwidth in your brain and blocks your creative flow. So forgive everyone and everything, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve to be free, and you deserve to use 100% of your mental energy for creating your future, instead of reliving your past. So cut the energetic cords of bitterness and reclaim your power, because lighter people fly higher, and you want to soar to the heights of abundance. Let us touch on strategic patience versus passive waiting, because passive waiting is hoping something will happen, but strategic patience is planting seeds and watering them and knowing that the harvest is inevitable even if you cannot see the sprouts yet. And bamboo grows underground for 5 years, building a root system before it shoots up 90 feet in 6 weeks. And your wealth journey might look like a bamboo tree where nothing seems to happen for a long time. And then, suddenly, everything happens at once. So trust the timing of your life and keep watering and weeding, and do not dig up the seeds to see if they are growing, because that kills them. Just trust the process and keep showing up. And finally, for this section, remember that money is a magnifying glass, and it will make you more of what you already are. So if you are happy, money will make you happier because you can do more things that bring you joy. But if you are miserable, money will make you more miserable because you can afford to be miserable in more expensive places. So do the inner work to become a happy and whole person now, before the money arrives, so that when it does, it amplifies a beautiful signal and not a distorted one. And this preparation of your character is the true foundation of lasting wealth that does not destroy its owner. Let us dissect the Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule, because this is the mathematical formula for efficiency, and it states that 80% of your results come from only 20% of your actions. And this is true in nature and in economics and in your own life. So if you analyze your week, you will find that most of what you do is just busy work that produces very little income, and only a few critical tasks actually move the needle of your bank account. So you must become a ruthless essentialist and identify that top 20% of high-value activities and eliminate or delegate the other 80%. Because being busy is not the same as being productive. And usually being busy is just a form of laziness, where you do easy, low-value tasks to avoid the hard, high-value thinking that actually creates wealth. So stop polishing pebbles and start moving rocks, because the rocks are where the gold is hidden. We must talk about the flywheel effect, because building wealth is exactly like pushing a massive heavy metal wheel. And at first you push with all your might, and it moves an inch, and you push again, and it moves 2 inches, and it feels exhausting and impossible, and you want to quit, because the effort seems huge compared to the result. But if you keep pushing consistently, the wheel starts to pick up speed, and eventually its own momentum takes over, and it starts spinning faster and faster, with less and less effort from you, until it becomes an unstoppable force that generates massive energy. And this is how businesses and fortunes are built, where the beginning is always the hardest part, and the middle is the messy part, but the end is the effortless part. So do not judge your future success by your current struggle, because you are just in the phase of overcoming the static friction of the flywheel. And once you break through that friction, the momentum will carry you to places you cannot even imagine right now. Consider the power of deep work, because in an economy of distraction, focus is the new IQ, and the ability to sit in a room alone and concentrate on a hard problem for 4 hours without checking your phone is a superpower that makes you elite, because most people have the attention span of a goldfish, and they cannot produce deep, meaningful work. So if you can cultivate the habit of deep focus, you will produce better quality and higher quantity than your competitors who are constantly distracted by notifications and emails and social media. So protect your focus like a fortress and build walls around your most productive hours, because your focus is the fuel that drives the engine of your prosperity. Let us address the gatekeepers, because in the old world there were gatekeepers for everything, and you needed permission from a publisher to publish a book, or permission from a record label to release a song, or permission from a boss to get a raise. But the internet has burned down the gates and killed the gatekeepers, and now you can go direct to the consumer, and direct to the audience, and direct to the market without asking anyone for permission. So stop waiting to be picked and pick yourself. Because the tools of production and distribution are in your pocket right now, and you can build a media empire or a commerce empire from your bedroom, so the excuse of "they won't let me" is dead and buried. And the only person stopping you now is the person looking back at you in the mirror. You need to develop specific knowledge, which is a term coined by Naval Ravikant, and it refers to knowledge that cannot be trained, because if it can be trained, then someone can replace you, and if they can replace you, they can pay you less. So specific knowledge is found at the intersection of your genuine curiosity and your unique talents, and it feels like play to you, but looks like work to others. And because it is based on your unique DNA, no one can compete with you on it, because no one can be you better than you can be you. So escape competition through authenticity and build your wealth on the foundation of your unique personality and your unique obsessions, because that is a monopoly that lasts forever. Let us discuss emotional intelligence, or EQ, because high IQ might get you hired, but high EQ gets you promoted and gets you paid, because business is ultimately about people. And if you cannot read the room, or empathize with a client, or negotiate without getting angry, you will leave millions on the table. So you must master your own emotions and learn to influence the emotions of others, because people buy on emotion and justify with logic. And if you can make people feel understood and safe and valued, they will trust you with their money. So invest in learning psychology and human nature, because understanding why people do what they do is more profitable than understanding how the stock market works. Think about the concept of asymmetric risk, which means looking for bets where the downside is limited and known, but the upside is unlimited and unknown. And an example of this is writing a book or starting a YouTube channel, because the cost is just your time and maybe a little money for equipment. So the downside is low, but if it takes off, the upside can be millions of dollars and a complete life change. So you want to stack your life with as many asymmetric bets as possible, because you only need to be right once to be set for life. So stop taking risks where the downside is ruining your life, and start taking risks where the downside is just a little embarrassment or wasted time. But the upside is freedom. We must also talk about the art of storytelling, because facts tell, but stories sell. And humans are wired for narrative, and we make sense of the world through stories. So if you want to sell a product or an idea or yourself, you must wrap it in a compelling story that connects with the listener's identity and aspirations. And a good story transfers emotion and belief from your heart to theirs and bypasses the critical, logical brain. So become a master storyteller and learn the hero's journey. Structure, because he who tells the best story wins the attention, and attention is the precursor to money. Let us explore the abundance of money, because there is no shortage of money in the world. In fact, there is more money being printed every day, and trillions of dollars are flying around the globe electronically every second, searching for a home and searching for yield and searching for value. So the problem is never a lack of money. The problem is a lack of value proposition. So stop thinking the pie is fixed. And if someone else gets a slice, you get less, because the pie is expanding constantly. And you can bake your own pie. So drop the zero-sum game mentality and adopt the positive-sum game mentality where everyone can win and wealth creates more wealth. Consider the power of no, because saying yes to everything is a fast track to mediocrity and burnout. But saying no to the good allows you to say yes to the great. And Warren Buffett said, the difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. So you must guard your time and your energy fiercely and decline low-value meetings and low-paying clients and toxic relationships so that you have the capacity to pounce when a truly life-changing opportunity appears, because if your hands are full of pennies, you cannot catch the dollars falling from the sky. We need to address the sunk cost fallacy, which is the tendency to keep investing in a losing proposition just because you have already invested time or money into it. And this keeps people in bad jobs and bad marriages and bad businesses for years longer than necessary. So you must be rational and ask yourself, if I was not already in this situation, would I enter it today? And if the answer is no, then you must cut your losses and walk away immediately, because your past investment is gone forever. And pouring more resources into a hole will not bring it back. So be willing to quit things that are not working, so you can start things that will work. Let us talk about audacity, because fortune favors the bold and the timid get left behind, and sometimes you just have to ask for what you want and make the big proposal and knock on the big door, even if you feel unqualified, because the world is surprisingly malleable to people who ask with conviction, and most people reject themselves before anyone else has a chance to reject them. So stop doing the gatekeeper's job for them and put yourself out there with audacity. And you will be shocked at how often the world says yes just because you had the guts to ask. And finally, for this section, understand the seasons of wealth, because just like nature has spring, summer, autumn, and winter, your financial life will have seasons, and there is a season for planting and working hard in obscurity. And there is a season for growing and refining. And there is a season for harvesting and enjoying the fruits. And there is a season for resting and recalibrating. And if you try to harvest in the winter, you will starve. So respect the season you are in and do the work required for that season, and trust that the next season is coming, because the cycle of life is unbreakable, and your time to harvest will come if you do not give up during the planting. Let us elevate our perspective to the systems mindset, because you cannot scale your own effort, but you can scale systems infinitely. And a system is simply a repeatable process that produces a predictable result. So if you find yourself doing the same task 3 times, you must document it and create a checklist or a standard operating procedure so that you can delegate it to someone else or to software. Because if your business depends on your personal brilliance every day, it is not a business. It is a high-stress job, so you must build a machine that works without you. And this requires you to step back from the role of the operator and step into the role of the architect. And the architect designs the house, but does not lay the bricks. And this shift is painful for the ego, because we love to feel indispensable. But being indispensable is a trap that keeps you stuck. So aim to be irrelevant to the daily operations of your wealth creation, so that you are free to focus on the high-level strategy and the next big vision. We must confront the trap of more, because the brain is designed to adapt to any level of pleasure, which is called hedonic adaptation. So when you make your first million, you will feel ecstatic for a month, but then it will become your new normal, and you will want 10 million and then 100 million. And this treadmill never ends if you do not define what enough looks like for you. So you must define your number and your lifestyle goals clearly, so you know when you have won the game. Because if you do not know where the finish line is, you will keep running until you collapse, and you will miss the whole point of wealth, which is freedom and enjoyment. So define your freedom number, and when you hit it, celebrate and shift your focus from accumulation to contribution and experiences, because he who dies with the most toys is still dead, but he who dies with the most impact lives forever. Think about the energy of legacy, because true wealth is planting trees under whose shade you do not expect to sit. And when you start thinking about what you will leave behind for your children and your community and the world, your decision-making time frame expands from days to decades. And this long-term thinking gives you a massive advantage over everyone else who is thinking about next week's paycheck, because long-term actions compound into massive results, while short-term actions fizzle out. So ask yourself, what do I want to be remembered for, and how can I use my resources to create a ripple effect of good that lasts for centuries? And this purpose-driven wealth is the most fulfilling kind because it transcends the self and connects you to the stream of history. Let us discuss financial defense, because making money is offensive, but keeping money is defensive, and you need both to win the championship, so you must become paranoid about losing money and protect your downside with insurance and legal structures and diversification, because one lawsuit or one market crash can wipe out decades of hard work. If you are exposed, so do not be naive and think it cannot happen to you, because entropy is the law of the universe, and things tend to fall apart, if not maintained. So build a fortress around your assets and dig a moat so that you can sleep soundly at night knowing your kingdom is secure. Consider the philosophy of stewardship, which changes your relationship with money from owner to caretaker, and when you see yourself as a steward of God's resources or the universe's energy, you feel a responsibility to manage it wisely and not waste it on frivolous things. And this mindset removes the ego and the greed and replaces it with a noble sense of duty. And ironically, when you treat money with this sacred respect, it flows to you in greater quantities, because you have proven yourself to be a trustworthy channel for abundance. We need to talk about the art of negotiation, because everything in life is negotiable, and you do not get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate, so you must learn to ask for more, and to tolerate the awkward silence after you name your price, and to be willing to walk away from the table, because the person who is willing to walk away has all the power. So practice the skill of uncomfortable conversations, because your wealth is hidden behind the conversations you are avoiding. And a 3-minute negotiation can result in a $30,000 increase in your income, which is a higher hourly rate than any job in the world. Let us explore the network effect of kindness, because people do business with people they like. And kindness is a free currency that buys you loyalty and forgiveness and opportunities. So be the person who remembers birthdays and sends thank you notes and treats the janitor with the same respect as the CEO. Because the world is small and people talk, and your reputation for kindness will precede you and open doors that money alone cannot open. So never underestimate the ROI of simply being a good human being. Now, let us synthesize everything into the identity shift, because ultimately you do not attract what you want. You attract who you are. So you must become the millionaire internally before the $1 million manifests externally. And this means walking and talking and thinking and acting like the person who already has it. And this is not fake it till you make it. This is be it until you see it. And it requires a total upgrade of your operating system, and you must delete the files of unworthiness and poverty and install the files of abundance and power. And this is a daily practice of conscious creation, where you wake up and decide who you are going to be today, and you refuse to let your old habits and your old environment dictate your reality. So stand guard at the door of your mind, and only let in thoughts that align with your vision of the future. You have to realize that money is neutral, and it is not good or bad. It is simply an amplifier of your intent. So if you are afraid, money makes you more afraid. But if you are generous, money makes you more generous. So stop judging money and start judging your own intentions, because money is just a tool, like a hammer, and you can use a hammer to build a house or to break a window. And the hammer is innocent. It is the hand that holds it that decides. So purify your heart and your intentions, and money will become a holy instrument in your hands to bless the world. And finally, remember that the journey is the destination, because there is no magical place called there where everything is perfect and you are happy forever. And happiness is a chemical state that you must manufacture in the present moment, regardless of your bank balance. So do not postpone your life, waiting for the money to arrive. Start living your rich life now in small ways, and enjoy the coffee and the sunset and the laughter of your friends, because these are the true riches of life. And the money is just the icing on the cake, and if you cannot enjoy the cake without the icing, you will not enjoy it with the icing either. So cultivate a heart of gratitude and wonder, and you will be rich in all the ways that truly matter. You have now received the download of the millionaire mind and the codes to unlock the vault of abundance. But knowledge without action is just potential energy, waiting to be kinetic. So I challenge you to take one bold action today that signals to the universe that you are ready to receive, whether it is opening a savings account or starting that business, or simply looking in the mirror and declaring, "I am worthy of wealth," because the universe is listening and it is waiting for your command. If this video shifted something deep inside your soul, and if you felt the chains of scarcity breaking and the light of possibility entering your mind, then you must subscribe to this channel right now, because this is just the beginning of our journey together, and I have so many more secrets to share with you that will accelerate your path to freedom. So click that subscribe button and turn on the notifications and join this community of future millionaires who are rewriting their destiny, and leave a comment below declaring, "I am a magnet for money," to seal this pact with yourself and with the universe. Stop chasing the shadows and turn around to face the sun, and let the shadows fall behind you, because you are the light and you are the source, and the money is looking for you. Welcome to your new life.